Thanks for buying this course. If you don't have DaVinci yet, you have to download it from the official site, which is Blackmagic Design. After you do that, just open it and let's start. The first thing you'll see after the software opens is this page. Here you'll have all your saved projects. For now, select the option New Project and name it however you want. Now, you can see the interface of the program. It seems a bit messy at the start, but you'll get used to it. First thing I want you to do is take a look down at these icons, which are called tabs. We won't need all of them. Sure, they're all useful, but for now, you're learning the most important stuff. You'll work with just 3 tabs most of the time. Let's start with the most important one, which is the Edit tab. It's the third one, where all the magic happens. Please take a moment to just observe it. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is understand that DaVinci is pretty much like most of the editing softwares when it comes to the Edit tab. We have the tracks where we arrange the clips, the audio and so on, and the upper part where we've got the preview box. Also there's an inspector tool and a place where you import media or where you choose different effects. That's it for presenting the Edit tab. In the next lecture of this course, I'll teach you the main parts of the Edit tab. Welcome back, friends. Let's start with how to import media into DaVinci Resolve. Last lesson you saw what the Edit tab looks like. Now let's get to work. In the upper left part, there is an icon called Media Pool. If it isn't opened, click it. Now, here is where all the footage will be. Let's start by importing a simple video and some music. You just press right click and choose the option Import Media. This is how you import video files or audio files into DaVinci directly from the Edit tab. Now, what if you have tons of videos and audio files? Well, you can create bins, which are basically some kind of folders where you can put your media. To use your video files or audio files, all you have to do is drag them onto the timeline. As you see that when I drag a video file on the timeline, it's separated into video and audio. Audio will always be on the lower track and the video on the upper one. Now, what if you want to add 2 clips on the timeline, but you want to put one video on track number 1, then the other on track number 2. Basically, you want to put one over the another one. You just simply drag the video onto the timeline and then drag it upwards. That's it. Easy as that. A difference between DaVinci and many editing softwares is that in DaVinci, when a video has synced audio, if you click on it, doesn't matter what you select, video or audio, when you click on one of them, both audio and video files will get selected. It's easy because you can drag both of them at the same time, but what if for some reason you wanted to separate them? There is this icon, and if you turn it off, then the video and audio won't be selected together when you select one of them. Now, what if you want to make a simple cut? Well, there is this icon that can help you with that. All you do is select it, go to the part of the clip you want to cut and click it. But if you want a life hack for this process, instead of selecting that tool every time, you can simply use the play line from the timeline. It's this one. And you place it in the part of the video you want to cut and press Ctrl B. Now, if you use the icon to make cuts instead of the Ctrl B option, you'll have to press on this cursor icon every time you finish cutting. So that's the reason I prefer using the shortcut Ctrl B. Now, what if you had 2 clips placed one over another one, but you wanted to cut only the first one? Let me show you what I mean by that. As you can see, when I use the shortcut Ctrl B, it makes a cut to all the videos from all the tracks. Now, how do we solve that problem? Well, there is this icon which is for locking tracks. Each time you finish editing on a track or you don't want to change it for a bit, You just press on that locker and it gets locked. That's it. When you want to make changes again, you unlock it. At this moment, you might wonder, what is that magnet icon over there? It's simply to tie video or audio files between them. For example, that's how a file reacts when it's nearby another file and when the magnet icon is on. And that's how it reacts when the icon is off. It can help you to speed up the process a little bit. Now, if you have a huge video, you can always zoom out or zoom in using this little scale. It's helpful, so I decided to, tell you about it in case you didn't see it. That's it for the main parts of the Edit tab. In the next lecture of this course, I'll be talking about the preview area of the software. Hey there! In this lecture, I'll cover everything you need to know about the preview part of the video. Basically, the preview part is this rectangle, which can be made bigger or smaller in case you're wondering, and it's situated above the timeline. First thing to look at is this little text above the preview area which says Edited. It could appear in 3 colors: gray, yellow and red. If the text is in gray, it means you saved the project a few minutes ago. If it's in yellow, you saved it a while back, and it means you should save it. If the text is red, it means you should save it immediately. The reason that text appears is because if you do things like color grading or if you work with the Fusion tab, software crashes are common, so saving the project once a few minutes should become a habit. By the way, you save a project in DaVinci Resolve by clicking Ctrl+S or go to Files and select Save Project. Sure, if your computer is good enough, you shouldn't worry about it, but it's better to be prepared. The next thing I want you to look at is this small multicolor circle. If you have color graded the clip, you can see the raw footage. Raw footage is a simple video without the color grading. If you want to see the raw footage, you can lock that circle. But if you want to see the color graded video on the preview area, you just have to let the circle turned on. I'm telling you this because when I started, I used color grade and that circle was turned off, and I thought it was a problem in the software because it didn't show me what I was color grading. So make sure it's turned on. Moving on to the next important tool. You'll see this icon on the lower left part of the preview area. It's a small rectangle. By simply clicking on that icon, you'll be able to change the position of the video, make it bigger, make it smaller, and so on. This is one of the most important tools in the Edit tab. Now, if you click on that arrow next to the rectangle, you'll see some options. What I suggest is that you don't give too much attention to those icons, except the ones that are for transforming and cropping. This will help you a lot. Remember to unclick the icon you choose each time you finish cropping or transforming or whatever you'll be doing. As a final point, if you have a PC that isn't powerful enough, you can go up into the playback settings, choose timeline proxy mode and choose one of the options, half resolution or quarter resolution. This setting will play the video in the software at half or quarter the resolution, depends on what setting you choose, without making you lose quality when rendering the video. The video will look a bit worse when you edit it, but in exchange, you'll not have many problems with lags or delays. Also, don't forget to mark as checked the options. Use optimized media if available, and the option use proxy media if available. Thanks for watching, see you in the next lecture. Hey there, hope you're doing well. In this lecture, we'll dive a bit deeper into the tools of the Edit tab. First of all, look on the upper right side of the screen. There you have the Inspector tool. I want you to open it. In this lecture, we'll talk only about the options it has for videos, so don't bother checking the other things it can do, because we'll get there a bit later. What you'll see is that it has the option we talked about in the last video. This time, it's more detailed and has some extra features. Let's go through each setting. First, there is the transform one. Here you can zoom the video, and if you uncheck this icon, you can make it wider or longer. Beneath that option, you can change the position of the video, having both X and Y axis. Then there is the rotation angle, the pitch, and yaw settings, which can do some cool stuff. And at the end, we've got the flip option. Now, something cool about this inspector tool, there are these diamonds, and I'll show you what you can do with them. These diamonds are used to make animations. They mark the start or the end of an animation. For example, if you go with the timeline's play line to a point in the video, and you press on the diamond for the transform settings, you mark the start of an animation. Then, you can go to a later point in the video, click on the diamond, and make some changes. The part of the video between those two diamonds will move after the changes you have made. You can see where you have placed the diamonds by pressing this icon, and you can use as many diamonds as you want to make interactive videos. Moving on to the cropping settings, you have the options to choose crop left, right, top, bottom, and the diamonds at cropping settings work the same way they work for the transform settings. Now, the next thing I want you to give a little bit of attention is this composite setting, where you have a variety of options to change the opacity of your video. You can use the same principle with the diamonds, but this time you change the opacity instead transforming the video. This method works when you have two clips laid one over another, and it looks pretty good. Below the composite option, in the inspector tool, you have some settings called stabilization. You can use them when you have shaky footage. Sure, it won't support too shaky videos. It should do the job if you're filming without a tripod and your hand shakes a bit in the video. But I don't think it will work if you're running and you're filming and you want to stabilize that. No, it works for when there's a little bit of shake. It's a very useful tool. That's it for the inspector tool. Thanks for watching. Hello friends, and welcome back. In this lecture, I'll teach you how to work with the audio directly from the Edit tab. First of all, I want you to know that there is a separated tab for working with the audio. But as I said, this is a basic course where I teach you the most important stuff, and editing the audio from the Edit tab offers us lots of options. Let's take a look at the timeline of the video. We have the tracks, and as you already know, the audio tracks will always be below the video tracks. Now, the tracks have some options. The first one is the locker, which you already know from the past lessons. Then there is this S and N. S stands for solo, which means that when S is selected, all the other audio tracks are muted. The M stands for muted, and I guess you already know what it does, it mutes the track. Now, how do you edit the audio? How do you increase its volume? Well, there are more options to do it. First way to do it is from the timeline itself. You can grab this line, which will increase or decrease the audio. Another way to do it would be by going to the inspector tool, into the audio settings, and you just adjust the volume, and that's it. By the way, if you're wondering, the diamonds work here the same as they do for the video files, so you can play with them and change the volume of the audio or add some extra effects. Now, there is a third, more professional way to change the volume of the audio in DaVinci from the Edit tab. That's by using the Mixer tool, which is in the same area as the Inspector tool. Click it, and now we've got a panel. A1 stands for Audio Track 1, A2 stands for Audio Track 2, and so on. Then there is Bus 1, it's colored in blue, and it's the final audio, it's what you get after all the tracks are mixed in. When you see that this line of the track becomes red, It means its volume is a bit too higher. That's it for how to use audio in the Edit tab. See you in the next lecture. Hey guys, in this lecture I'll teach you how to use titles in DaVinci Resolve. First thing you have to do to access titles is to press on the effects library. Now you have another window opened next to the media pool. Press on the toolbox and then titles. For now, we'll work with a simple title that has no animations. So choose the title, text. But there are lots of titles with animations you can choose from later when you'll experiment on your own. To add the text on the timeline, you simply drag it. After you drag it on the timeline, click on the text. Make sure that the inspector tool is turned on. If it is turned on, you'll see this panel with all the settings you can choose from. The first thing you can do is change the text. After you change it, there are lots of options you can choose for your font family and a few for the font face. Also, you can change the color of the text, the size, the line spacing, or the tracking, and so on. Below, you've got the option to add a stroke that will add a line around the text. If you scroll a bit down, you will see that you can create a shadow for the text. If you want to add a shadow, set the opacity higher than 0 and choose the offset settings. Just like for the video files, you have the same settings for the text in the inspector tool. After you edit it the way you want, you can make it a compound clip and attribute to your text visual effects, but more on that in the following lecture. In this lecture, I'll teach you the simplest way to use visual effects in DaVinci Resolve. First of all, you can create stunning visual effects using the Fusion tab, but that's for the advanced ones. For now, we'll stick to the library of effects that DaVinci gives us. First thing you have to do is select Open Effects, and what you'll see will be a list of effects you can choose from. To use those effects, you just have to drag them onto the video you want to apply those effects to. After you do that, you can go into the inspector tool, add the effects section, and you have the possibility to make changes to that effect. Please remember that not all effects are available to use if you are using the free version of Resolve. To be honest, the effects that aren't available for the free version aren't that important, so don't bother thinking about upgrading the free version of DaVinci to the premium one unless you want to support the Blackmagic team. Back to the visual effects, there are a few more. To access them, open the toolbox and then the effects. There you have a few cool effects you can use from time to time, but the most important ones are in the folder Open Effects. Now, what about audio effects? Well, there is a whole section called audio effects, but honestly, I don't use it that much. Except the noise reduction option, which is pretty helpful. The audio effects work the same as the visual ones. You drag them onto the audio you want to edit. Now, I would suggest doing the audio changes in a separate program like Audacity, if you need to, but most of the time you won't work with these audio effects from DaVinci Resolve. What if you wanted to add some visual effects to a text? Well, you can't add effects to a text, but you can make the text a compound clip. You have to press on the text you want to edit, right-click, and choose the option New Compound Clip. Remember that after you do that, you won't be able to make changes to the text. After you make the text a compound clip, you can add as many effects as you want. That's it. Thanks for watching. Hey there! In this lecture, I'll show you how to create transitions between two clips in DaVinci Resolve. First of all, you need two clips. Then let's cut them here and here. Then we tie them together, and now we just have to choose the transition we want to use. First thing I suggest you do is close the iris, motion, shape, and wipe subfolders. This is because you'll not work almost at all with those. To add a transition, you just click and hold onto the transition you choose and drag it between the two clips. Click on the transition and you'll see this panel. If it doesn't open, it means you have the inspector tool closed. You can do some changes to the transition. You can change its duration, or the alignment, or the style, and so on. I recommend you work with the transitions within the Resolve subfolder and the Fusion Transitions folder. Those look really good, and those helped me the most. You can also use transitions for texts. By the way, they work the same as with the videos, and you don't need to make the text a compound clip when you use transitions. Texts need to be changed into compound clips only when you want to use video effects, not transitions. Lastly, we've got the audio transitions. They are useful when you want to change the audio suddenly. Could you add two transitions at the same time? Sure, you have to add one transition, then select the parts of the video between that transition and make it a compound clip. After, you can cut the compound clip in the same spot and add one more transition and do it again and again and again as many times you want. As an example, you can add this circle transition, plus this camera shake transition, plus this drop warp transition, and it will look something like this. That's it for the transitions. I suggest you experiment on your own with the transitions and you find which one works the best for you. How to use presets. Besides the library DaVinci gives us, there are hundreds of presets online we can use, from titles to transitions presets that are either free or not. Some of you might struggle with importing them into DaVinci. As an example, I'll download a free preset and import it into DaVinci. So, the preset is downloaded. If it will be in a zip format, you'll have to unzip it like this. And after, simply copy the files. Go to the location where you installed DaVinci. Click on the Fusion folder. Then on the Templates folder. Then Edit folder. And now you just put your files into one of these subfolders. If your preset is a text, you put it into the Titles subfolder. If it's a transition, into the Transitions subfolder, and so on. That's it for the presets lesson. See you in the next lecture. Welcome back. Now it's time to change the tab. We're diving into the grading tab. In this lecture, I'll teach you only the color correction. Basically, this is the easiest thing to do in the grading tab. I know it might look a bit intimidating at first, but you'll get used to the way the grading tab looks. So, to color correctly, you need to play with this line, and please do not touch it in the middle or anywhere else. Work only with the beginning at the end of the line. Basically, color correction and color grading in general is a process that takes time, a process where you just try out different colors and see what works the best. Besides that, I suggest you color correct the video before editing, because if you don't, you'll have to color edit every single clip you cutted in the timeline, and that's a pain in the ass. Besides the main curve panel, you have lots more panels, and you can play with their settings as long as you want. But the most important one that will make the change is this main curve panel. Some more advanced tools are the scopes, which show you what colors are more dominating, and you can learn various schemes on how to arrange the colors so you get a nice cinematic look. If you don't want to spend time color grading or color correcting, then you have this list of presets made by DaVinci for you in their own library. To access it, click on this icon and find the preset that looks the best for your video. You can choose from film looks to camera looks and so much more. Thanks for watching, see you in the next lecture. Hey friends, have you ever heard of green screen videos? Well, those are used when you want to change the background of a video or animation, but you want to keep what's in the foreground. Let me show you an example. A green screen video is this animation of the like button. Now, what I can do is delete the green screen and leave the animation, and it will look something like this. In this lecture, I'll teach you how to work with this kind of videos, and I'll teach you some things about the nodes. First thing you need is a green screen video placed onto another video. You do that from the Edit tab. Then open the Grading tab. Now, when we use a green screen video, basically we delete everything that has the same color. It's called green screen because most of the time video productions use green backgrounds if they want to remove the background. But if there are some green elements in the foreground, then a blue screen will be used. To delete a whole color in DaVinci by using the Grading tab, you choose the Qualifier tool. And you click on a green spot of your green screen video. Now, probably nothing has changed, right? Well, that's because you didn't add an alpha output. How do you do that? You go here, where are the nodes. If you don't see them, that's because you didn't open them. To open the nodes, you just have to click on this icon. Back to how to add an alpha output. You right click, then select Add Alpha Output, and you'll see a new element on your nodes graph. Still, no changes. That's because you have to tie the video with the alpha output. All you have to do is click on this blue rectangle, hold onto it and drag it where is your alpha output icon. Now, there will be a line between those two. The problem is that the video didn't remove the green color. Now, the green color is the only color left. Well, you just have to reverse that by clicking here. The only thing left to do now is to play with the settings of the color, saturation and luminance. Now, another thing about nodes is that they are really useful when color grading. You can make multiple nodes, tie them together and use them separately. One for color correction, another one for color grading, a specific place, and so on. That's it for the basics. See you in the next lecture. Hello guys, this is the last lecture of this section, and I'll teach you how to use windows for color grading. First of all, what are the windows in DaVinci Resolve? Well, to access them, you have to go into the Grading tab and click on this icon. Now, before we start doing anything, make sure that your node isn't tied to the alpha output. By the way, if you made some changes to a clip in DaVinci but you want to bring the clip to its initial position, press Ctrl Home. Alright, back to the Windows settings. There you have a list of shapes you can choose from. For now, select the gradient one. We can move it around and change the direction of the arrow. Place it however you want. Then let's go to the curves and make some changes. As you can see, the changes apply to the position that we selected using the gradient method. Now, let's see how the video would look without the window we used. It's a big difference. Now, let's use something more. First thing I want you to do is come here where the nodes are. Right click, add node and corrector. Now, tie it with the input of the first node and with the last green dot. Go again to where the windows are at, but this time select curve and draw a closed curved line. Now let's go to saturation and bring it down to almost 0. If you want to add a fading effect to the border of the line, go back to the window and play with the options for inside or either outside. That's it for this section. See you in the next one, where we'll talk about exporting your video. Hello guys, and welcome to the last section of this course. Now that you know the most important tools of DaVinci, you can start to edit your first video. But before that, I'll teach you how to export your video. First of all, go to the Deliver tab, and here you'll see this whole page. And probably you'll think that it's hard to export a video in DaVinci, but actually it's pretty easy. You have to make sure you choose the custom option, give the video a name at the file name section, then choose a location on your computer where you'll export it, and make sure single clip is selected. Then you just have to select video, format QuickTime, and for the codec make sure it is H.264. The resolution depends on your video, but most of the time it will be 1920 x 1080. The frame rate also depends on your project, but most of the time it's 24 FPS, 30 FPS or 60 FPS. At the end, make sure you select best quality and press add to render queue. Now you have added the video to the render queue, but the render process won't start before you click render all. Now that you know to export a video, let me show you some helpful settings. For example, you can export a video file directly to YouTube, Twitter or Vimeo, but also for other editing softwares. That's it for how to export a video from DaVinci Resolve. See you in the next lecture. How to share a project with other people. Hey guys, this is the last lecture for this course. I will show you how to share the project with other people. For example, I'm from Moldova and I need to share my project files with someone from the UK. I can share the project files so that he can make changes into the timeline or color grading tab. Basically, he will have access to everything in the project. The question is, how do you do that? Well, first of all, there are multiple ways. Some might work, some might not. As an example, if you share your files through Google Drive, a method that would work would be to share all your media first. That means everything you have used in DaVinci, every video or audio file, and then you have to share the timeline file. To do so, you just enter your project and press Ctrl-Shift-O. Another way to do it would be by going to the file settings and choosing the option Export Project. Now, if you have lots of media you have to export, you just have to go to the home page of DaVinci, press right click on your project and choose Export Project Archive. What if someone else sends you files? Well, first of all, you open the DRT or DRP or whatever file he sent you as the project, and what you'll see will be lots of red files. That's because the location of his files doesn't match with yours. What to do now? Simply clicking Ctrl+A so that you select all files, then right click on any of the red files and choose the option to relink selected clips. Then go to the folder where you downloaded all the media that the first editor used and just wait for the files to relink. That's all you have to know about the basics in DaVinci. Right now you can start editing whatever video you want and you'll be able to do pretty much anything. Thanks for buying this course, all the best to you.